for choosing to spend time with us here. And I'm Laura Meyers. I'm a professor here at Georgia State, and I work in the College of Education and Human Development, and I'm the program coordinator for the Master of Arts in Creative and Innovative Education. And I was really excited to be invited to present today, especially when Dr. Trin asked if specific students could co-present. And so we've designed a presentation for you all that we hope will be not only meaningful, but engaging. And my approach anytime I go to a conference session is if I can walk away with like 2 or 3 little nuggets, then that's a win. So we will hope for more than 2 or 3 nuggets to walk away with. But this is Kristan Binion, and Kristan is graduating from the Macy, we call it Macy for short, but she'll be graduating from Macy at the end of this summer. And this is Jenica Walcott, and say hi. You want to share a little?
Hi, everyone.
And Jenica is a recent graduate, so she came back to hang out with us as an alum. So this is what an alum looks like for us, and this is what a current grad student looks like. But I'm so thrilled to have worked with the two of them. And what we are going to do a little bit of today is interjecting some mindful moments. And so what I'd like to invite you to do with us is a little emptying breath. And so we're going to just breathe, inhale and exhale together. If it's helpful to close your eyes, just take a moment to pause. And the goal with the emptying breath is to release as much air as possible. So I tend to inhale on a 3 count, and then try and stretch out for a 6 count. So I'll do it. You can breathe independently, or you can join me. So, and make sure you sit up straight, stretch that diaphragm. It'll make it feel better. And inhale, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Loosen those shoulders. Don't pull them up near your ears. Do it one more time. Inhale, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Since it's 404 day, we'll do one more and do 4 total. Inhale, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just take a moment. Yeah. Felt good? Tell me. Doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And such a good habit. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, use your microphone. Sorry, they were telling us we have to use the mic. You have to come here because your energy, we need more of it.
No, I was saying I just came from Thailand, and so we went to one of the first female Buddhist temple, and so we were they were teaching us how to meditate and as for me, we were going over mindfulness and things like that, and so it was definitely interesting. It was an interesting experience, definitely impactful, not just for myself, but for my students. To be able to do that, and they took that back, and they've been practicing just some of the techniques that they got from over there. Now I'm struggling with the breathing because of my asthma, but
getting the pollen today.
The pollen is, yes. And so, but I definitely appreciate that. And it's so amazing just how the world works because, being that this experience just happened and to come back and I'm in this session, it definitely is a full circle moment for me.
Awesome. Oh,
So
thanks
thank you
for sharing that. Thank you. Any other thoughts? There you go.
All right, why did we exhale more than we inhaled?
It's the parasympathetic response is connected to the exhale. And so when we release more, it ends up sending a message of calm to your brain, and then the tension reduces. But a lot of times, you noticed I said, okay, loosen your shoulders, because a lot of times when people are inhaling and exhaling, they're lifting up here instead of here from the diaphragm. So yeah, great question. Sometimes our brain needs a reminder or a signal that we need to stay calm. And also when we do that, I tend to start class sessions with some type of breathing or community building activity. And it's also, for me, an invitation to pause and be present, because I get caught up with everything on the to-do list and what's coming up later or what's already just happened or the voicemail that I need to listen to and I know it's going to be. And so sometimes we just need someone else to extend that invitation and hold space. And so that's what we also hope this session will be this afternoon, a good way to end the conference and reflect and pause and take care of yourselves. And in that same spirit, one of the things that we're doing to help take care of our teammate, Kristan, Kristan and I both have anxiety and depression, and sometimes it kicks in when you really don't want it to. And so I'm really grateful that Kristan came today, but one of the ways that you can help take care of someone who might be having a moment with that is to just be present with. And so I'll be sharing on behalf of her and talking about her project. And again, if you feel like chiming in, you can. But yeah, so, or if I go in a different direction than you want, just redirect. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's working. So thank you so much for this. This is so amazing having this. And I like how you mentioned about you going to Thailand. I've been to Thailand before, to Bangkok. It's amazing. And that temple you mentioned, where in Thailand was it?
So it was in Bangkok, and so we were actually have pictures if you want to see afterwards.
Totally.
The Buddhist monk that was there, but like I said, one of the things that we had an on-site coordinator for our program, and she was Thai, and she actually did. They had a mini Buddhist program that they did, and so she was a monk for 30 days. But she taught us because definitely a lot of my students, they're definitely embedded in the Christian faith, and they were, some of them were uncomfortable, like going into a Buddhist temple. But she was able to redirect their mind in understanding that meditation is just, it's not, connected to a religion. It's, it's a mindset,
Yeah.
And so when they heard that, then they were able to connect with the experience of it. And then, we all, she was like, a lot of times we try to do 10 minutes of meditation, and we try to, overachieve. And she's just like, even if you just start with, 1 to 2 minutes, and then, build your tolerance for it, then, even that 1 minute will be impactful.
Absolutely.
So that is something that definitely resonated, with it. I came we went to Thailand right before the quake. So, so definitely that was an experience, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do that, because if, we would have waited, then we might not have had that opportunity. But, certainly it definitely made me change the way that I think, it just, in those negative thoughts, and that's what they taught us, it's just, how we, when we were going through negative things and stuff like that, if you just change your thought process to a positive, thought, then your world will look different. And so this is definitely, I just so happened to come in this. I didn't, I was going to go to another session, but I think everything is by, happenstance. By design.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing. And then one other thing is I wanted to say that, this is a great point, and this reminds me of 10-day silent meditation retreats I've done before. They're called Vipassana, and they're amazing. You just go with your natural breath, 10 days of not talking to anybody, taking any thoughts that come as is, and like how it's interconnected with this, and happy to hear from any of y'all after the session who's ever done it or is interested. Thank you.
So thanks for sharing that.
Anytime, thank you.
So what I wanted to do is walk us through to the next kind of introduction. And so to give you a little background about the three of us, we are all involved with the Macy program, like I was saying, and we have different discipline areas that people pursue, but it's very interdisciplinary. And so one of our goals is to be interdisciplinary with intention. And so that's also something that I love, all the connections that we're making already. And so I encourage you to keep connecting in that way. But this gives you a little bit of our background as our graduate program. About 50% of our students are working in areas of entrepreneurship, nonprofit, museum education, teaching artists with theaters. It goes really across the board, or they're pursuing that type of role. And then the other 50% are working in classrooms, birth through 5, elementary, middle school, high school, and wanting to work on designing their own curriculum and making it more arts integrated. Some of the classroom teachers are working on designing after school programs or summer camps, or maybe shifting to entrepreneurship in some way. And so one of the other things that I love about our program is sometimes we end up with graduate students who come in with art expertise, and that happens to be the case with Kristan, who is a visual artist, specifically with digital art, and also Jenica, who is an expert within dance, and specifically ballet and modern dance. And so it's been a real joy to be part of their journey, to see how dance and art have been woven into their courses, and it was definitely woven into their final thesis project, which we refer to as a capstone. And they both worked independently on those projects, and I noticed so many connections between them, and they were noticing all the connections between them, and they had individually met, of course, with me, but also with Dr. Trin, who is one of the directors for today's event. And they ended up sharing and challenging the three of us, which was already, I think, in the works, basically. And so then they said, what would happen if your two pursuits collided? There was a collaboration. And one of the first things Kristan said, and I love this story, Kristan met Jenica and heard about your work, and then afterwards said, I'm going to collaborate with her at some point. And sure enough, towards the end of the program, it's happened, but not just within the program. It's exciting to share this collaboration with you. So we're going to walk you through kind of how it started and then where we are now. And we'll end with a dance performance that we'll also be invited to participate in if you would like to. And you'll also be invited to contribute to a piece of digital art. And we'll be sending that art piece to Dr. Trend to send out as a commemorative piece of art for attendees at the symposium today. So that's plan A, but we can go in any direction. Okay, so pretend I'm Kristan. Kristan's capstone project focused on, she titled it The Movements in the Key of Kris, and there are 4 movements like a symphony, and her exploration focused on identity. And so with this focus on identity, Kristan and I talked over really the whole time you've been in the program about what identity is, how to think about it. We looked at Kimberly Crenshaw's work with intersectionality to hone in on the different stories, basically, the different components that make us unique in who we are. And one of the shifts that I've noticed that Kristan was being very intentional with was, I know the different components of my identity, but I want to use them to empower myself and shift how I think about my identity, shift my self-talk. And so one of the components of the overall theme for today is languages. And I would like to just pose the idea of self-talk also being a language. And we spend a lot of time listening to ourselves and our thoughts. And so how does that impact us? And then what else specifically for Kristan in the arts are messages that are being shared or that are being pursued and then admired, listened to, and then taken on. And for Kristan, it was mainly music. And so she was, you have been music, and integrated music in every project that she's done throughout the Macy program and all of the courses. And so I knew music would be a genre of storytelling that would come up. And I also knew that narrative, this idea of storying, would be another component that would be emphasized within her work. And then also digital art pieces. And so her identity is a combination of being Black, queer, neurodivergent in regards to autistic, being on the autism spectrum, also ADHD. I talked about our commonality with anxiety, depression, and then a really I think cool neuro condition that Kristan has is synesthesia. And so when she listens to music, she sees colors based on the different sounds, and it goes in a lot of different directions, and it's also very layered. And so what Kristan ended up doing was organizing the collection, the large collection of music that she leaned into for her exploration of identity, and organized them into these 4 movements. And we brought a sampling of one today. And so the first movement had to do with major moments in her life relating to Blackness, girlhood and womanhood, and queerness. And 3 of the songs that came up were from Lizzo and Beyonce and Doja Cat. And so within the lyrics, she pulled specific phrases that resonated with her, that she identified with, that she noticed was speaking to this theme. So while she knew these themes, these components of her identity were already there, going back to kind of match some of the text to figure out, okay, what is the music telling me? How am I thinking of myself? What does the music inform? And so the artwork came from listening to Like a Girl, Brown-Skinned Girl, and Woman. And what was interesting was there were these strong women that were notated within some of the lyrics. And so people like Serena, like Robin Fenty. And so it was interesting when she really started recognizing, like, hey, there's some strong women I'm being introduced to or reminded of. And so finding that affirmation, that place of being. And the colors all have symbols, all of, that's very symbolic in regards to the mood that is evoked from the music and the beats and the shapes, the lines. But what I didn't realize at first when she was sharing her work with me was that it is multi-layered. And so with the digital art, they're like her thinking, very complex, very multi-layered. And so there's more than just what she starts with. And so some of it is deeper within that we can't necessarily see, and some is within the image in like an opaque way, but overlapping, which I think is really interesting and a reminder of how our identity works too, and how it sometimes works together with the multiple components that make us us. And so this is what Kristan started with, and this is where the project began. Now she's taken a deeper dive into this project, and she's added more research going beyond intersectionality, positionality, but shifting into how can I use music and storytelling and identity, and is this academic enough? What type of research is this? Where do I fit within the academy? Do I fit within the academy? So again, still thinking about that identity, but specifically that component. She started working with Dr. Edelin, and Dr. E coached her on thinking about intertextuality in critical discourse analysis. And she was introduced to James Spradley's approach to interpretation. She started exploring post-qualitative inquiry, and she also started asking questions about autoethnography. And so her questions and her work shifted. So she started in the beginning with questions: how can complexity and contradiction with identity and lived experience be sources of empowerment rather than conflict? Or how do multimodal methods of storytelling enhance understanding of self and others? Now she has shifted to calling it Research My Way. And the current questions are: how do intertextual themes in song lyrics reflect and shape identity? And using Spradley's ethnographic approach to interpretation, how can connections between these themes and lived experiences be revealed across diverse cultural contexts? So she's now in the process of organizing in a very methodological way these themes that are emerging. And so she's doing it old school, which I love. So it's like paper and pencil and writing on the dry erase board and then talking it out, drawing arrows. It's really messy, but so is exploring identity. And what I love is that she's been able to use her strengths that maybe she didn't recognize were strengths at the time to tell her story, but also open a door for others to tell or see theirs.
I just want to talk more about my lyrical analysis process. Dr. Meyers brought it up a little, like it's on paper, but I'm literally weaving through the lyrics line by line and finding meaning within just one line. I started cutting them into those strips. I would read a line and think, okay, what does this mean? And one of the first lines that stuck out to me was actually from Brown Skin Girl, where she says, "If ever you are in doubt, remember what mama told you." And so I decided that that line was linked to maternal wisdom. And we called maternal wisdom a domain. So the more I weave through the lyrics, the more domains emerged. And when I started to find relations between those domains, I created a taxonomy. So the domain maternal wisdom is in the taxonomy of collective histories. Another domain in that taxonomy is empowerment. And one of those, one of the domains under empowerment is sisterhood. And so the lyrics under these images correlate with the domain of sisterhood. And I define sisterhood as empowerment as acknowledging the success of Black women, sharing success, also the acknowledgement of Black women friendships and activities. I have another Lizzo song where she talks about I guess being in the salon, and that's a very staple activity in Black womanhood. So yeah, that was just part of the process that I wanted to share. It was very fun. I enjoyed it. It was like putting pieces of a puzzle together while also taking it apart. But yeah, and I actually only finished it about a week ago. And this is only movement 1, so I have to do it 3 more times.
I appreciate hearing that because I actually, we had a student that, she's a study abroad student at Clark, and she's in our doctoral program. And so she is working on her topic now, and she was exploring, the maternal relationship between, a woman in her, in that dynamic and how it builds identity. And so it's interesting, that, we're exploring that topic. And so I definitely think that it's great work, and even how you're connecting it to music, that important relationship and how it. And we sat there and we talked for a long time regarding it, and I think it's such a beautiful topic to explore. And I hope you continue on even, after your capstone to explore that relationship a lot more, So, so good work.
Yeah, see, I told you, Ph.D. Next step. Does anybody else have a comment or question for Kristan? Yep, okay.
All right. I'm a novice in this business. So I look art. I also like music. I also like art. I can't draw. I can't paint. I can't play any musical instrument except the harmonica, which I only play once every year, Christmas time, Silent Night, the first, that's all I do. But I'm looking at this, I'm trying to find out, what's the connection? You listen to music and you draw something, and that's how it comes across to you. Can you just talk more about that?
So I have a neurological condition called synesthesia. There are multiple types, but one of the types I have and that I lean into the most is music color. So as I hear music, I also see colors. And these images are a manifestation of that. What's interesting is that I don't actually know what the final product will be because there's movement to it. So the final product is like snapshots of what's happening. And sometimes I'll get to the end of it and think, this is not aesthetically pleasing. So I have to go back and get different snapshots. So while it is, the visualization that I see, there's also an artistic element to it and the final product.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Just a quick question. I'm a literature person, so, and I think thematically, I understand certain things, and of course, forgive me because art is meant to be personal, but once shared, it opens up the door for inquiry. So to the moments that you marked from Brown Girl, is it possible to maybe talk about the thematic push? What is it that you think that line does for you? Not just the color, because I can see from like a girl and woman, I see empowerment and see women breaking through, having power and ownership. But I'm a little bit mixed up in my mind as per the line from Brown Girl, because it can go in multiple directions. So I'm wondering, what is it?
That's a great question.
Are you speaking about the line I highlight from the song?
Well, I think it's also my own prejudice, because I'm aware of who Lupita is, and I know how she's represented in movies, and at what point she's placed on the scale of beauty. This could be a personal thing. So I'm curious, are you looking at it as always beautiful or only beautiful when zoomed in? And you understand what I'm trying to say?
So the full line is pretty like Lupita. When the cameras close in, she needs an Oscar for that pretty dark skin.
See, I didn't know that part of the line, because I'm thinking she's not, in terms of Hollywood female leads, and please forgive me, you got to zoom in to see what people would define as beauty.
Right.
Because actually, in reality, she's actually the most beautiful if you think of beauty from the skin that she carries. I just wanted to be sure I wasn't missing what that line is about.
Right. And that's definitely the point in having this song a part of my project. Brown skin girl, your skin is just like pearls, right? Again, I want to use music to understand myself and others and empower through that understanding. And so actually this song is the opening to my project.
And I think if I mean, as a novice, if I could be of help, if we're not looking at womanhood and the strength of the feminine, Angelo's old song, Brown Skin, where he's showing his own as a man, could also be a kind of maybe footnote in terms of brown skinness as a mark of beauty. Because again, Hollywood, maybe not even Hollywood, the whole world really doesn't mark that dark skin as beautiful. It takes some extra effort, the shining part of it, the decorating part of it, and so on and so forth. But maybe that could also be footnote in case you proceed with your research. Now, of course, it's bringing a man into the discussion. I know that's not your purpose. So,
But what you did there is what I wanted you to do, right? You're beginning to connect with my work. And when you connect with my work, you're exploring yourself. And that's what I wanted.
You're doing some unorthodox, fantastic work. It takes a special brain to do that. You're gifted. I wonder if you see yourself as engaged in resistance and activism in the work that you're doing.
Yes, I definitely do. And honestly, originally, I didn't. I took a class with Dr. Meyers last spring called Art is Activism, where we had a final project and I explored Beyonce's Cowboy Carter. I did all of the visuals to every song. And we also had to write an artist bio. And one of the things I said was like, I don't necessarily identify as being an artivist, but I understand that my existence is resistance. I'm queer, I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm neurodivergent, oppression lottery, right? So all I have to do is show up as I am, and that's powerful enough.
Current season that we're living in, how do you feel in terms of expanding beyond the halls of Georgia State? Have you encircled yourself with allies? Because again, we're living in some very different times, resistance to anything around inclusivity and diversity and stuff like that. Does that make you feel in any way discouraged at all in terms of the work that you're pursuing?
I want to pause because that is a question I would love for both to answer. And I definitely want you all to hear also about Jenica's work. And probably what we should have done was had 2 sessions. And but I love the questions. I love the questions. And so I am going to turn it over to Jenica to talk about her work.
Hi, everyone. I'll be quick. It's 4:14, and I just want to give us an opportunity to see the dance, but also continue to answer those questions. I think, this ended up being a great time to just talk and have in-depth conversations, and I think that was great. And Kristan, thank you for coming today. Just want to take a moment to just thank you for being here. Because our work is so connected. Everything that I did during my capstone, even today, the song that I chose to as well in terms of purpose connects to continuing to walk in purpose. Hi, everyone. I'm Jenica Walcott. April 3rd marks 10 years since I've been in the United States of America. This lady right here is my mom. Hi, Mom. So just a very brief background on my capstone project. Originally, I wanted to do an autoethnographic written piece about my childhood experiences coming from Guyana to the United States during the Children in Society course during the Macy program, and I ended up doing a dance instead. And I utilized Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory to demonstrate theory and practice through thematic reflections. I actually met with Dr. Tran, and they sort of walked me through and guided me through how not to overthink the process. So I actually ended up creating major themes within each system. And one system that stood out to me was the chronosystem. Before I delve into that, so Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory sort of delves into complex layers that affects the child's development, but also human development as well. And that development can be psychological. So a lot of psychology in there too as well. And for example, some of those layers include the mesosystem, macrosystem, microsystem. They all work together. And one that I chose was the chronosystem, which highlights historical events. It can be major events. And during my time doing research, I've noticed how people have used the theory to even research people's experiences abroad and so on, which was actually really cool. I actually envisioned myself eventually writing something about my life and collaborating with others. But in today's world, we danced and we created a piece which highlighted major themes of immigration and hope. And the choreography that I created was titled Tikva, Tozi La'or, Hebrew for Hope Prevails. As I was having a conversation with Dr. Ethan Trin, we talked about the need for hope in this day and age right now with so much happening. And I remember being that little girl growing up in church, running around just wanting to dance constantly. And I believe that through my work and through the introspection that I've done, I could not have gotten this far without my relationship with Jesus and without my relationship with God. And I have to stand on that because I knew it was just not me. Flipping through the Bible, I'm like, I don't understand everything here, but I'm here and I'm who I am because it works. The faith that I've placed in him, it truly works, and I give him credit for that. So today you'll see a rendition of this piece, also Stand Still. I'll get more into the song itself. And when I think about hope prevails, my mom mentioned a scripture to me today. She was like, there's hope and there's faith, but the greatest of these is love. If you don't have love, you're nothing. Literally. You can hope, you can have faith, but if you don't love people, you're nothing. And when I heard that, I was like, So the work that I do is not just about me. It's not just about being a great performer, but who can I collaborate with? Who do I see in the room? So today's not just about my work and the immigration and the themes of hope, but how can we push forward and fulfill purpose? As you can see in Kristan's work, she's walking in her purpose, and you'll see that even in the dance today, which goes back into mindfulness, practicing mindfulness. Through the arts, we do it because we want to be introspective. We want to be better at what we do. With me, dance, be a better dancer, be a better person, and overall be able to grow. So I'll stop there for now, and we're going to delve into what would happen if we collaborated. What would happen? And when I first saw this song, I saw a dancer. She had on a two-piece outfit, and she was just turning and turning. She's doing a Maddie Ziegler turn, Alice Lacone turns. And when I saw this song and I heard it, I actually originally thought that the singer was saying "stand still." And in my mind, I was like, okay, I can do that. I don't have a full-time job now. I'm like going through the full-time job search process. I'm home working part-time. I've really learned how to stand still. And when I heard the song, I took initiative to stand still, but the singer was actually not doing that. She was actually saying, no, like, I have a story to tell, and you can't make me to stand still. So I'm going to continue to walk in purpose, and I admired that. So today, through the dance, I am going to have moments where I stand still, but I also will have moments where I will move, because life is about having moments to pause, but also ensuring that you're living each day walking in purpose. And we're going to delve into how Kristan and I collaborated. I actually was the individual who chose the song, and Kristan created a visual on the song. And we're going to delve into how those two connect. The visual. Kristan, you want to chime in before?
When Jenica first played me the song, I could actually barely hear it, but I was able to make out some of the colors. I knew it was dark, and I knew it was blue. Then when I went back and listened on my own, the first thing I did was start to write down the colors I saw, and then also make a note of the brush I want to use for that color when I get in to Procreate. And like I said, I don't know how it's going to end up in the end, and I don't necessarily start with the symbolism. I attach the symbolism afterward, and a lot of that came after, like, when I revealed the image to Jenica, and then she started talking about like what it felt like for her to experience the image. I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel about that color. And so she can talk more about that.
Can I just start dancing what I see? Yeah, especially the orbs, which are the circles at the sides, really kind of spark this sense of joy and purpose in life. And I'm a very like bouncy person. So when I see it, I'm just ready to move. But in relation to the song, like, the singer doesn't want to stand still. And when I think about those words, I think about the orbs at the side, and the singer being able to move and be in purpose. And then Kristan and I talked about the blue symbolizing faith. And I also even considered it symbolizing innocence, where the singer talks about being a little girl dancing in the rain as well, and being that young, being creative. Yeah, you want to talk about the yellow? I know you had something you mentioned about the yellow.
Yeah, so Jenica talks a lot about hope in her work. And as she was speaking about how the image made her feel, I was like, yeah, that yellow is the hope. You can see it right down the middle in the sparkles, but also in the orbs, there are smaller orbs of yellow too, almost as like a reminder to never give up that hope.
That's what you did today. You showed up and you came. And you never give up on the work. And like you said, keep leaning into it. And that's what it's about. Collaborating and being able to use art and the work that we do to instill hope. So I'm going to dance, and then we're going to finish our Q&A. And thank you all for being here.
Okay, as she's doing that, can I quickly do something? Now I'm becoming an artist. Can we move behind? I bring this here, and you will see how this place will change.
Okay.
So I'm getting the hang of it. You will see how.
This feels better.
Yeah, it changes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I invite you all to join me at the end. I'm actually going to teach you 4 movements, and you'll join me at the end doing these 4 movements. So you're going to take 4 breaths like this. You're going to do this 4 times, and then the 4th time is going to be very, very, very slow. Now I'm actually going to come at the ending. There are other movements, but you'll follow with me at the very end. There's some other movements, and I'll do it slowly. So
take a breath, don't forget all the words that he said. You were made for this now. I hear his voice through the noise, knowing that I've got a choice. Looking out at the crowd, everyone's got words for my reasons. I can hide or I can keep singing. Oh, I know my body's a vessel. I know my voice has the power to change. You tell me I'm too much to handle. You can't make, you can't tell me to. Where is the girl who is running, singing and laughing through all of the rain? You wanna turn me into something you can't make, you can't tell me to. Stand still, stand still, oh, stand still, oh. He's bringing back the years, he's restoring me. He draws me out of feel, says he's holding me. I'm learning who I am with him right next to me. Yeah, he's a friend to me. Oh, out of the shadows into the light. You can throw all your stones, but they'll miss every time. 'Cause I'm walking in purpose, won't be discouraged. I'm held as his beautiful child. I know my body's a vessel. I know my voice has the power to change. You tell me I'm too much to handle.
We'll let you catch your breath, but wow, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to shift from the lyrics while the dance is still in your mind and the music is still in your mind, the lyrics are still going, just to take a pause and connect with the art too. So one of the things that we've focused on throughout the whole day is languages, placemaking, identities. And like I invited you earlier, thinking about a language as self-talk. What are we telling ourselves? What would help us alter some of the negative self-talk? How does that impact our identity? How does that impact our place in this world? How can we use pauses for breathing, or maybe the arts, to help us think about the world around us and how we're crafting and cultivating our place in it? And so I will give you one more mindful invitation. You've been here throughout the day, experienced so many presentations from amazing folks. You've networked, had lunch, breakfast, etc. So think about your experiences from today. Is there one word that might describe them? Is there a phrase, maybe a couple of words? And so I am going to give everybody a little strip of paper. And on the paper, write down a word. If you can't choose just one, it's okay to pick more. And Kristan, like I mentioned at the beginning, will collect these words and then embed them into the digital art piece. And Dr. Trin can send it out. So thank you for making art with us today. And while you're writing, we can also continue our conversations and questions in this last moment of the session.